Well, greetings, my fellow Second City actors, alumni, friends, family.
The thing I loved the most about Mike was that he was a completely fearless improviser.
Whenever Hags and I would enter a scene at Second City, I'd go off to the right and go, "Ooh, nice spread." And Hags would go off to the left and say, "Open bar."
He'd go in directions that nobody could ever anticipate.
Fred Kaz once said that no matter where Hags was anywhere in the world, there was 3 feet of Chicago, a radius of 3 feet of Chicago surrounding him.
Mary Catherine, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Once John Holtzen rigged my hair so that when I pulled a string, my ponytails would fly up in the air.
I had such an affinity for him, and we liked each other. We loved each other so much.
And Hags, without even turning around, says, "For some of us, that might be a hair-raising experience."
One of the funniest memories I have of him is when we both guested on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
We had different upbringings, we had different acting styles, certainly different religions.
And Mike played a guest at Larry's dinner party who commandeers the head spot at the table.
Mike Hagerty, I miss you. I was so lucky to have had you in my life all these years.
You know, I can't help thinking that if Mike were here, he would know exactly what to say.
I was even hoping to have my first legal beer with you at the ball game.
You know, with that perfect combination of humor and love and insight.
He took me under his wing. He calmed me down.
Mike was one of a kind, obviously.
I love you all the way from Wrigley Field to Kaminsky Park. I know.
That's Comiskey!
It's Comiskey Park. My favorite Chicago bus driver taught me that one.
He was the definitive Chicago Second City actor. Who, what, where, beginning, middle, end. Mike was the best.
Although I'm not really sure how he'd feel about talking about himself. But maybe that's one of the other reasons that we all love him so much.
And I believe that he learned more from Mike Royko and Studs Terkel than he did from Paul Sills or Del Close or Bernie.
I'm not sure that everyone knows this, but occasionally Mike would have a drink or two.
Mike was my first director when I got hired into touring company, and he was also on Main Stage at the time, and I was the understudy for Main Stage. So when I first got called into the show, Mike kind of wanted to direct me.
I remember every time we left town in the van, we would drive by the Moody Bible Institute, and Hags would say, I knew his brother. Very moody.
So he said, Kelly girl. That's all he ever called me. Never Maureen, just Kelly girl. Okay, I don't know how to say this, but this is not the best show that's ever Second City Stage. It's a piece of crap. So you got to do everything fast.
Hags had a heart of gold and a fridge full of beer. Always looking for a good time. Like a true improviser, he would say yes and to just about anything that had to do with fun or beer.
Everything fast. So I took his advice. He was my director, and it worked. Mike's direction was always spot on and never pretentious. He was never like, oh, the meaning behind this is... His direction was more like how you talk to the movers when they're bringing the furniture into your new house. Like, I don't know, put it over there by the wall. Yeah, that's good. And it works. I just want to say, Mike, I hope you're having a grand time on your new adventure, and say hey to Joyce for me.
Hags was a brilliant actor, mentor, friend, bartender, and the patriarch of our chosen family. Hags and Mary Catherine would gather everyone at their home whenever any Second City brothers or sisters were in town. He embodied ensemble work on and off stage.
In 1985, Mike and a group of us from Second City were hired to be in Tom Hanks's film Nothing in Common. We were all more or less slightly upgraded extras who were allowed to ad-lib a line now and then.
Mary Catherine was urging Hagerty to leave a party before he wanted to. But Mary Catherine, he said, there's still beer. Mary Catherine said, I know, but you don't have to drink it all. Plus, it'd be nice if you left some for the others. Hags replied, it's not in my nature.
And one day, when we were off, Mike invited me to come along to hang out at the famous, or at that time, infamous Barney's Beanery. While I was sitting there with Hags as he drank his beer and I drank my Coca-Cola, musing and worrying about the future of my career in show business, Hags said, isn't this great, Danny? Here we are sitting in L.A. making a movie. That's why Hags was such a great improviser and great friend. He could appreciate the good things while they happened.
The first time I saw Mike Hagerty was at Second City, and needless to say, I was kind of blown away. He was a few years older, so I'd maybe see him once every couple of years at a random party or something, and he was always nice.
My greatest experience with Second City was the Second City Santa Monica shows we did.
Ended up with his head in the fridge, the crew had to follow, and a fork, and he was eating leftovers off the plate and critiquing it like this macaroni salad, kind of heavy on the mayo, but you know, it's got a certain something.
Mike was one of the most genuine people I'd ever met. When you were talking to him, you were connecting to him. He was connecting to you.
And he just kept going and going to the point where the crew was crying. They were laughing so hard. I had to leave the room because I didn't want to ruin the take.
We worked on so many scenes together, and that was morning, noon, and night, 24/7 for about 3 months, and it was the best time of my life.
He felt like you were special. The way that he laughed made you laugh. It wasn't necessarily what you were talking about that was funny. It was like when he laughed, he was gregarious and loud and boisterous, and you felt connected to him.
I got a phone call, and it says, Pat Finn, Tully gave me your number. It's Mike Hagerty. And I said, wow, hey, Hags, how you doing? Everything okay? Yeah. I think I'm your neighbor.
One of the things that I just loved about Mike was he was one of the nicest guys, certainly in my experience at Second City, just so nice until he started drinking. And then he'd become nicer.
I said, really? He goes, yeah, I just saw you walk into your house. I'm a few doors down. I said, that's fantastic. He goes, come on down for a quick beer. I said, actually, we're about to head out to Christmas Eve Mass. And he goes, maybe a quick one? And as much as I probably should have, I said, how about afterwards? And he said, yeah, that'll give him a chance to get colder.
Look, Hags loved a party. He loved people getting together. Well, I shouldn't say a party. He loved a reunion, a reason for people to get together, maybe just to have a beer, or 6.
But that was the beginning of it. And everyone knows Mike from so many different things, but to have Mike and Mary Catherine live down the street, as much as we miss Chicago, it was like we always had it here with those guys. And Mike was like an uncle to my kids, and he'd walk Dublin by the house, and he'd wave to the kids on the swings and playing in the front yard, and they'd yell back, hiya, Hags. And
it never made it into the episode, but it was hilarious. It was so audacious, and he just went with it. I could see the props lady off camera starting to panic because everything he was calling for we hadn't discussed, but we just went with it.
You always felt connected to him because he was always connected to you. There's love at his heart.
He was always that way on stage. He would just go in directions you couldn't anticipate with such a casual throwaway vibe about it that you had to follow. And I will forever laugh thinking about that, and I will always miss you, Mike, and rest in peace.
I get something I'll miss, for sure. What an amazing guy, and it hurts because he was so. And I'll miss him, and you can't see it, but this is an old style. And I'm opening it in your honor and wish I was with you to share it. Sláinte to Mike Hagerty.
Always the funniest one in the room. Hags was a mensch among men. I miss him already. I love you, buddy.
I have known him as my friend, sometimes as a substitute big brother, once or twice as a shoulder to cry on, and always known him as either Mary Catherine's boyfriend or her husband. I think Mike did really well. And without a doubt, he is one of the best humans I will ever know.
Mike, I love you so much, not just for what you taught me on stage, but mostly because of what you taught me about life, because of how you changed my heart by being so loving and warm and kind and funny. I'll love you forever, and your memory's a blessing. Rest in peace, my dear friend.
And as an actor, I would be on stage. We'd be on stage just sweating and acting and mugging and thinking of what to say. And Hags would just be a little off to the left, just a little bit upstage of center. And he would find that one little moment, that one little wedge of time, where he could say the funniest line of the entire scene, bring the house down, and naturally bring the lights down, because nobody was going to top that. He will be missed. He will be sorely missed.
Hags was one of a million, and I will miss him dearly. And peace be with you.